friends. Welcome to the Pancake Huddle podcast, where we break down what is happening in the Pancake Fantasy League. It's going to be a long road, but we're going to walk it together.
One person's going to be walking down a road to championship.
And for someone else, it's going to be a rocky road straight to the Pancake House.
Yeah.
My name is Jer. I'm a Dolphins fan. Been in the fantasy game for a while. I got a record of 93 wins, 54 losses, 63% win percentage, 5 championships. This is my co-host, Jeff. What's your record, Jeff?
Well, I'm not sure of those stats in front of me right now, but I'm a Packers fan, first and foremost. And I love fantasy football, and obviously I'm here because I've got expertise to share. But yeah, in terms of record, don't know if I have that written down personally.
I think it's actually, let me see if I got it here, 6-10. That's a 37.5 win percentage.
Well, you have to round that back up to 38 because 5 carried.
I'll give you 38. You can have 38.
Anyways, we're really excited to share some of our expert knowledge and expertise.
Yep. Each week we're going to be throwing a few segments together. Some of them might be recurring. Some of them might just disappear. But we're going to start off right off the bat with flipping injuries. Staying on the pancake theme. And Jeff, why don't you break down some of the injuries of the week?
Yeah, so these injuries are devastating to players in our league. So the first injury I'd like to report is one that I'm deeply saddened about personally, and that is Jordan Love. Yeah, I can't listen. Jordan Love, the Green Bay Packers, with 6 seconds left in his game, suffered an MCL sprain. Thankfully, it's looking maybe 2 to 4 weeks recovery. But Jordan Love was on Crystal and Michael's team, so that's a position they're going to need to fill quickly. So that's a big loss. Not to be outdone, Christian McCaffrey, the number 1 draft pick in our league, a surprise, didn't play the game at all because he's suffering from Achilles tendonitis, which some say months to recover from. We don't know where he is along his journey, but it's going to be a hard journey, and especially a hard journey for Rob Graham, who has Christian McCaffrey on his team. So thoughts and prayers to Christian McCaffrey and to Rob. Jared, why don't you take away the next few?
Okay, so Puka Nacua, knee injury, put on IR.
An automatic 4 weeks not playing.
Sorry, Doomring. That's a bummer. And whoever drafted Cooper Kupp, that was a lot of foresight, a lot of insight, and they definitely are going to have a huge advantage moving forward. And they, as much as they don't revel in Puka Nacua's injury, it's something that's going to benefit them greatly. Sorry,
Jared, do you know who has Cooper Kupp?
That will be me. I drafted Cooper Kupp. He's on my team. David Njoku, high ankle sprain, should be fine, but we know what high ankle sprain means. It means you're never fine for the rest of the year. So also on Doomring's team, that hurts. So why don't you pick a random guy from waiver wires and just pray to God he gets the points, because we don't know what's going on with the tight end landscape. Every week on Flipping Injuries, we're going to be making one call to the fantasy gods. We're going to be calling in the Wambulances, sending it to the team that we think needs it most. So I think it's that time. We're going to have to call them up.
I wonder who it is.
Yeah. We need a fantasy Wambulance sent to Rob. Yeah. No. Yeah, he lost. Yeah, it was all McCaffrey. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
And just for some more context behind that, because it wasn't revealed to fantasy owners that Christian McCaffrey would not be playing until game time, he missed out on some valuable points, and which could easily have won him his week. So that is an extra, knife to the heart.
Yeah.
So the Wambulance will be there swiftly, we hope, and best of luck.
And our next segment is the breakfast breakdown. It's going to be a recurring segment where we do a quick rundown of all the matches of the week. The first matchup of the week we're going to be breaking down is Jeff G, our very own co-host, versus Michael and Crystal. And this one started off a little rocky for Michael and Chris. I was actually sitting beside them as they were fretting and fearful and really wondering why they joined this league in the first place, wondering how they were going to get through 24 pancakes. And it was all doom and gloom until the Bears defense just took that match and ate it up for freaking breakfast. 2 defensive touchdowns and Mixon's performance pulled Mike and Chris out of the depths of despair and gave them the W. Jeff, if you could only find a kicker and a defense.
Yeah, that hurts. That it felt like the matchup was just decided by random. Because we all know kickers and defense,
The great equalizers.
Yeah.
They're important. And Jeff, why don't you break down Jeff K's matchup versus...
Yeah. No, this was a pretty exciting matchup to follow. I'm not sure if you guys were following live their matchup. Bit of a comeback story. Jeremy, going into Sunday night, was at a 20% chance of winning.
Never give up.
But
Never frickin' give up.
He didn't give up. Jeff K started off strong with strong performances from Kamara, and his defense and kicker, those great equalizers, they brought in just together, those two brought in 35 points. But
Sheesh.
20% success, 20% chance of winning. Jer goes into Sunday night. Cooper Kupp goes off. With a Puka injury, Cooper Kupp gobbles up 32 points. Just flipping the matchup on its head. And it delivers Jeff Caterberg a devastating loss. Jeff was the team who had the most points but still lost in the league. It stings, I'm sure.
Brutal. Sorry, Jeff K. I love you, but I had to do it. Next matchup, Doomering versus Graham. Wow. This is a historical matchup. Probably one of my favorite fantasy rivalries I've seen over the years. Watching these two go at it and at the same time just loving on each other. It's a real yin and yang. It's a beautiful, confusing thing to see, and I love it. This week, it was McCaffrey, and it was the Browns defense, and it was too much to overcome for Rob, and Doomring took that one down.
Next up is what I like to call the Brady Bunch showdown. Braden versus Brady. Who came out on top? Braden DeVries. He just had some stellar performances from Saquon Barkley and Mike Evans. Just utter domination. As most of you know, Barkley had 3 touchdowns. Evans just dominating on the field as well. As well as Brain just having 2 solid players in Jaden Reed and Stevenson on his bench, who are also just putting up disgusting numbers. It was just too much for Brady to handle, and it was a hard loss. So I'm sure Brady's going to want that week back.
I think it's going to take a couple weeks for Gerbs to really overcome the auto draft. it was a valiant effort week 1, but as a fellow Dolphins fan, I have absolute faith in his ability and discernment, and I know he's gonna be on the waiver wire snatching up a few guys, and I think he's gonna be able to overcome drafting 3 quarterbacks in a 1 QB 10-man league, and I think he's gonna find his way.
Let's hope.
Last matchup of the week, we got Rocks in a Pouch. You got to correct me on that one. Our very own David versus I can't really call him a giant. Camera putting up like 63 points. What was it?
75, I believe.
Sorry, Cam. 75 points.
71.
I was meeting the middle. It wasn't quite the David and Goliath match that I was kind of hoping for thematically. It was the David and the smaller David. David versus Camara. And Cam, I gotta say, man, I think you gotta start a kicker next week, dude. I don't know if you have the luxury to skip that one. And Javonte Williams, I think we all hope to be a little bit more. Maybe he will. We'll see. But Rocks in a Pouch, it was no match. He only needed 1 stone, and he took him down easy.
Yeah,
he's in good spot. There you go. Our next segment is going to be a weekly recurring segment. It's the Pancake Meter. We're going to be giving each team a rating of 0 to 10 pancakes. And 0 would be, you've got no fear of the Pancake House. You're not going there. There's no way you're going there.
There's no chance.
10 is, you're freaking done. You are in the Pancake House. It's over. How fearful should you be? So I'm going to have Jeff take this away, and we're going to run through the current league standings, giving each team a rating, 0 to 10.
Yeah, so first place, the team that scored the most points is Michael and Crystal's team, which, just a reminder, please name your team in the league. Let's not just have it called Michael JG because, well, there's Michael and Crystal, but also, come on. Let's get creative. You got two brains there. So even though Crystal and Michael got the most points, after some deliberation, starting at 5 pancakes, as everyone is, because everyone is, going into this fearful, they're actually going to be going up half a percentage, 5.5 pancakes. Jared, do you mind explaining our thought process behind that?
Yeah, you know what? A win's a win. You're 1-0, but a bigger part of it is where are you mentally? And from what I saw, there was fear, there was hesitation, there was doubt. And that kind of mentality, it sticks, and it actually impacts the performance of your team, what you do on the field, what you do on the waiver wire. It's hesitation, and hesitation is the number 1 killer in fantasy. So I'm sorry, guys. You're moving up the meter. You're at 5.5.
Yeah, the Bears defense isn't going to bail you out every single time. Okay, next up, the second most points this week is Jeremy. Put up a strong showing. And so he is removing 1 pancake of fear. So now he's sitting at 4 of 10. So I thought that was pretty fair.
I think it's fair.
Following up with that is Rocks in a Pouch, David DeVries. A very strong showing, just absolutely, as we recently heard, slaughtered Cameron. He, with his strong roster, is going down to 3.5 pancakes. I think he's feeling really good. He's excited about his future. Would you agree on that?
Yeah, I think David is excited about his future. I wouldn't say he's destined to be
king.
No. We're not pouring oil on his head and anointing him.
No.
We're just saying he's in a good spot. He's got a strong team, strong showing, and I think 3.5 is a good rating.
Exactly. Now we're going to be following up with the person that has the lowest pancake rating, which is a surprise, coming at 4th. But because of his strong roster, especially on his bench, we had to give Braden 3 pancakes. He's got a very strong team, and it's looking scary.
And I would say too, just the cojones to come away with a win after not starting a kicker.
Yeah.
Some people can do it, and some people can't. All right. And Braden can. And like we mentioned earlier with Mike and Chris, it's the energy.
Mm-hmm.
And Braden's giving off that alpha energy. And that, with the win, he's down to 3.
Next, we have Andrew Doomring coming in at 5th. He won his week as well. And he had a solid performance, but he's only going to be going down to 4 pancakes due to Puka's injury and Njoku's ankle sprain, like Jared mentioned earlier. Things are looking pretty rough, huh, Jared?
Yeah, and I think the depth of his team, he'll be able to get through it. Yeah, like Pollard on the bench, he's got Worthy on the bench. I think he'll be able to weather the storm, and I agree. 4 is a good rating.
Yeah. All right. Now we're getting into the teams who suffered a loss. So 6th place, Jeff K. Now, Jeff had the most points of those who had lost, but it is a loss, and it doesn't matter how many points you get. It matters how many wins you get. So Jeff goes up from 5 pancakes to 6.
Fair.
Yeah. So 7th place is myself, and I rated myself. I am pretty scared. I'm not excited about my wide receivers anymore. So I'm at 6.5 pancakes.
Who are your wide receivers, Jeff?
I have Devontae Adams and DJ Moore. Caleb Williams just put up a terrible performance, so my hope is down. Devontae Adams doesn't have a great quarterback in Minshew, even though it's a step up from no name last year. So the fear is getting to me. I won't lie, but it is still early and the waiver wire exists. And
you got it, Jeff. You're going to get there.
Okay, next up, Gerbs, Brady Gerbs. Again, lost a brain. His team couldn't cut it. 6.5 pancakes as well. He did not put up as many points, so it's getting a little bit scary. The lower points you get, your team, is there something fundamentally wrong that's coming across? Those are thoughts going through your head.
Yeah. It's week 1. Don't freak out, but in the back of your head, freak out a little bit.
Yeah.
I'd say.
Yeah. Well, it's a pretty natural feeling, so you don't have to think about that. Coming in at ninth place is Rob. And we bumped him up from 5 pancakes to 7 pancakes. Jared, you mind giving some insight into that?
Rob, the Wambulances is coming, okay? And that's because you need it, and you need it because we don't know what's going on with McCaffrey. You take him first overall. He doesn't play a game for you. Kind of a lot of mystery around it. And the biggest thing is, can he weather the storm? I'd say Rob's got a good roster. He's got a good team. But you can't wait around for your guys to show up. You need them to show up.
You need every win every week. McCaffrey's sitting out a few weeks.
Yeah. You got CJ Stroud still, and you got Jacobs, Rashee Rice. There's some bright points there. Pickens. You still got some bright spots there, but if he can weather the storm until McCaffrey comes back, that's the question. So I'd be a little nervous. So he's at 7. It's good.
All right, last place. Cameron had an abysmal week with 71 points. So he's at 7.5. It does feel like there's something fundamentally wrong, even though we are at week 1. Why are all of his players underperforming? Are they underperforming, or are they just performing at what they're going to be? Is that their new baseline? What are your thoughts on that, Jer?
You know what? There's this point where I say, is there something wrong? Is Cam trying? And then I get in my head and I think, is Cam trying? Is Cam trying to be number one on the waiver wire? And we all know week one waiver wire is probably the best week to be number one on the waivers. And
is he playing chess while we're playing checkers?
exactly. And I can't remember if the waiver wire order is automatically set to the draft order reversal week one or if it's just the standings.
I think it's just the standings.
And I think Cam's in charge of that too. So
oh my god.
I think he freaking played us, guys. 71
Holy.
points, not starting a kicker. The guy's not trying.
Sheesh.
Either way, next week, Cam, just freaking put a kicker in there, man. Like, oh god. Cam's at 7.5. I think he should be nervous. You can't play games when it comes to pancakes, man. Like,
no, they're not going to play games with you. That's for sure.
No, they're gonna hurt you. And I love Cam. I don't want to see him get hurt. So, this is just a little warning. This is where you're at. Act accordingly. Okay. There you go. Our next segment, we're going to move on to the Flapjack Forecast, where we break down one player at each position and we look forward and we give you guys some of that expertise, insight into what is going to come down the line for these guys.
Yeah.
And
this is really the meat and potato. This is why they're listening, right? Because they're not going to get this kind of insight anywhere else.
No. We're here for you guys. We don't want to see you in the pancake house, sick to your stomach, bored out of your mind. So listen up. Jeff, why don't you take it away with our first forecast at the tight end position?
Okay. Tight end position, I think the name that's on everyone's mind, well, it's two names. Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely.
Yeah.
Is Mark Andrews
Bingo.
Is Mark Andrews ever going to be back to form or even close to form? Is Isaiah Likely the new hot shot who's taking his place? What are your thoughts?
You know, we've had the old bull. Wow. We've had the old bull. Why don't we try the young calf? You know, he's wild. He's kicking. He's fresh. He's young. He doesn't have the history. We haven't seen the consistency the way we've seen it with Marky Mark. But I don't know. I tend to think we're going to regress to the mean a little bit. And I think that Mark's going to pick it up. He's going to tighten up those shoelaces just a little bit. And the coach is going to give him a couple more shots on the field because that was not good.
No.
He looks sad on the sidelines.
Yeah, he looked like a shade of himself.
Yeah.
Okay, let me pose this question to you. End of year, who is going to be the number one tight end? Is it going to be Isaiah Likely or Mark Andrews?
It's Mark Andrews.
It's
Marky Mark. Dog.
You know, I'm going to I know we're doing this podcast together, but I'm going to have to disagree with you. I think Isaiah Likely is going to be the new it guy.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. So that was very helpful for you all. Pick your poison. Okay. Next up, we've got the quarterback position.
Oh, I'll gladly take this one up. So I think the one quarterback that everyone's talking about is the number one draft pick of the 2024, which is Caleb Williams of the Chicago Bears. And as I'm biased fan of football, man, that looked terrible. I would be ringing the alarm bells if you are a Caleb Williams owner or a Chicago Bears fan. There's nothing in that performance that had any spark or was like, oh, I can see the potential. You know, he ran really great or he threw a great pass. No, he had a 48% passer rating. The longest throw he threw was 11 yards. 93 yards total. He ran 5 times for a total of 15 yards. Like, what? It was all the Bears defense. Just
he's got to be better than Bryce Young.
Well, I don't know. Do you have the stats on that?
Yeah, I do actually. Caleb Williams, 7.2 points. Bryce Young, 11.6.
Yeah, and we all know how Bryce Young is. The first throw of his game, interception. That's the kind of guy you're dealing with. And Caleb Williams, a few points under in terms of fantasy.
Yeah.
Yeah, not good in my opinion.
No, it wasn't good at all. It was bad. Okay, wide receiver. We're gonna take a look at Marvin Harrison.
Junior.
Sorry,
Just so people aren't confused.
Marv Jr. I would say to whoever drafted him, you got to be disappointed.
I feel like that was Crystal and Michael.
Was it? I was just gonna say it must have been Cam.
It was Crystal and Michael.
Okay, wow. Crystal and Mike, you got to be a little disappointed drafting Marvin Harrison, seeing his performance this week. The stat line, not very exciting for where he was drafted.
1.4 points.
He's not going to meet your expectation of a second-round pick. I don't know where he was taken exactly, but I believe it was somewhere in the second, if not early third. So, second-round pick, he's not going to live up to that, but he's going to do a lot better than he did this week. There was one play where I know he was wide open for a touchdown, like literally waving his hands. So I think he's going to – I wouldn't lose faith in him, but he's not going to be the wide receiver one you're looking for. I could see him finishing like wide receiver 20, 23, somewhere in that range. Next position at running back, Josh Jacobs. We're predicting a really strong showing the next 5 weeks. I don't think they want their backup QB in Green Bay to throw the ball much. I think it's going to be a lot of handoffs. Maybe one this way, maybe one that way. So Josh Jacobs is going to eat, and this could be exactly what Rob needs to carry his team through the McCaffrey injury. We're predicting big points for Josh Jacobs, top 5 finishes in the next 4 weeks. Looking good. Our defense highlight, fantasy flapjack forecast. Go grab the Broncos right now. If I haven't already gotten them off of waivers, pick them up because they're going to absolutely light up Fields next week. One of the most sacked quarterbacks in the league against a stout pass rush. I'm going to say Broncos are getting 5+ sacks, and the defense, hey, maybe we see a few more touchdowns going on the defensive side of the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Pick up the Broncos if you want to win your matchup.
Lastly, we've got the kicker. And again, this kicker, he's on the waiver wire currently, which is surprising. Jason Sanders of the Dolphins, though his first week was not incredible, it was nothing to scoff at. But it's what's coming up next versus the Bills, a strong team, as we all know. And the Dolphins are going to have to rely on him heavily, I think. I think the first game the Dolphins played, we saw them struggling to get the offense going in that first half of the game. So I feel like if that continues, especially with A-Chain and Mostert being questionable, maybe they can't move the ball that much as they would like. So relying on the kicker. So that's our recommendation of the week.
Great insight, Jeff. Yeah. Love that. Wrapping up the show today, we have our recurring closing segment, Match of the Week. This upcoming week, the Match of the Week is none other than Love Hurts versus Cam Ura. Both of these teams are fighting to get their ass off the griddle because they are burning right now, avoiding the 0-2. That is the name of the game. Let's see who's racing to the bottom, and let's see who's going to be crawling their way out of the kitchen.
Yeah, it's going to be a tense one. I feel pretty confident, especially from Cameron throwing the first week, but I'm kind of scared about the waiver wire, and I feel like everything's going to change.
We will see. And will Cam start a kicker? Do it, Cam. All right, that's it, guys. Tune in next week where we will meet again bring the same kind of insight, expertise. You can't find it anywhere else.
Match
It's hard.
breakdowns.
It's hard to find, any real quality fantasy football content out there in the podcast space, at least.
Yeah.
So we're doing something new. We're doing something original.
Yeah.
Make sure to tune in next week. You can't miss it. Ciao.
Bye.
Good enough.